And then, of course, there's a loss of enjoyment, and that's the documenting the hobbies, exercise, or recreational activities, and that becomes very important. So, how is that supported by chiropractic? Again, by your documentation of a permanent injury. Another one is the loss of enjoyment of lifetime activities. So these two play a major role. Can you explain the permanent injury based on MMI and permanency and the three phases of healing? And then also inclusive is the loss of enjoyment of lifetime activities. And this will go right into the claim of loss of enjoyment, whether it's a hobby, exercise, or recreational activities. This becomes very important. You know, some of these types of cases, when you're into the punitive damages that are hard to quantify, it's not as important for a colossus or an insurance adjuster, but it becomes very important if you're in a deposition, or especially if you're in a trial for human beings. So in other words, you're in a trial and there's human beings in the jury. See, these are emotional factors that human beings will be able to give way more empathy than a software program called Colossus, which has no emotion whatsoever. So be aware also how some of these documenting factors will play a much greater role in front of a jury because of the emotional impact of a human being. And if you remember my story, there's no doubt in my mind, the biggest case that I won with a soft tissue injury, there was no disc, no nerve, no concussion. It was just a soft tissue injury. It was and a spinal injury, and it went to trial. And there's no doubt in my mind it was her inability to pick up her 6-year-old child, and that was with overpressure. So when you pick something up, active range of motion, she was pretty much fine. But when she went into overpressure, in other words, she bent over to the end point of that joint motion, in this case it was the low back, and then she lifted weight, in this case it was her child, that took it into overpressure, and then it was painful and she couldn't do it. There's no doubt in my mind that not being able to pick up a mother not being able to pick up her 6-year-old child resonated significantly with that jury. And, you know, obviously the attorney made sure he went into great detail in that testimony with her. So that's the permanent injury point, the loss of enjoyment of lifetime activities. So just being aware and paying attention to what is important to this individual, and just documenting them with the classic documenting software that we go over, or not software, but indexes, etc.